Okay, so today it's another crockpot recipe. I've kind of been in the crockpot mood this week when it comes to cooking. So I'm making crockpot molè. I'll be using a ready-made molè sauce. You can use your scratch-made sauce. I'm going to doctor mine up with a couple of tablespoons of peanut butter, a little bit of Mexican chocolate. This is La Popular brand. I'm also going to add 1 tablespoon of diced chipotle peppers in adobo sauce, a little bit of smoked paprika, granulated garlic powder, and I'm also going to be adding granulated onion powder and salt and pepper to taste. So I'm going to start with 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breasts in my 4.5 quart crock pot. Here I'm adding a teaspoon of granulated onion powder, a teaspoon of granulated garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of cracked black pepper. A lot of the ratios of these ingredients, you can use what you prefer. I'm also adding 1 tablespoon of my diced chipotle peppers in the mix. This is going to add a little bit of spice. If you don't want it super spicy, then you can omit this ingredient, but it really is tasty with this. Now I'm going to add my Mexican chocolate. You could add 1 or 2 pieces of Mexican chocolate into the mix, again, or to your preference if you want it sweeter. Here I'm adding my 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. This is actually sun butter. I'm also going to just add the entire container of this ready-made molè sauce from the store. And I'm not adding any liquid into my crock pot. The chicken will produce its own natural juices. It'll be fine. So I'm going to set this to high and cook for 4 hours. Low, you can cook for somewhere between 6 to 8. So right around the 3.5 hour mark, I'm just going to open this up and start to mix everything. That small piece of Mexican chocolate is probably softened at this point, so I want to sort of mix everything together. And I'll show you, I think I left it right here on top. There it is. Right in the center is that piece of chocolate, and I want to mix it into the sauce. And after I mix everything together, I'm going to let it continue cooking until it is tender. In the meantime, I'm going to make a chicken rice. This is one of my favorite rice dishes to make because it's so easy. In a preheated pan, I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of cooking oil. To that, I will be adding 1.5 cups of long grain rice. I pre-rinsed mine in cold water and it kind of sat on the counter and dried out. But now I'm going to toast it over a medium-low heat. In place of fresh onion, I'm going to opt to use dehydrated minced onion, like 1 tablespoon. I'm also going to be adding 1.5 tablespoons of chicken bouillon powder. My grandmother would make this rice, but she would boil her chicken for molè, so she'd use some of the broth to add into the rice. But I'm just going with bouillon powder. I've also added 1/2 teaspoon of granulated garlic powder. Going to give that a mix and warm through the dry spices and seasonings. Now I'm going to shake in just a little bit of dried parsley. That's optional. And just give that a mix. The rice is nice and toasty. The dried seasonings are warmed through. So now I'm going to add 3 cups of water. Now you could skip the bouillon powder and the water and just opt for 3 cups of chicken broth. That definitely works. And then you'll want salt to taste. So you'll want to give this a gentle mix. And what I'm going to do is crank up the heat because you'll want to start to bring this up to a gentle boil simmer at this point. Now to expedite that, I'm going to cover it with a lid. And once it starts to boil and simmer like this, I am going to lower the heat and let it continue cooking for about 15 to 18 minutes. And try not to lift the lid. So this continued cooking for about 18 minutes. I'm going to shut off the heat and set it aside. Do not lift the lid and let it set for 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, you can lift the lid, fluff, and serve. And it's ready. And it's so good. So it has been a little over 4 hours cooking on high, and my molè is done. Now, I don't want to completely shred the chicken. If you really want it falling apart shredded, You can let it go for an extra 30 minutes, but I just like to give it a mix with my tongs, and then I will use my kitchen shears to start cutting it up into chunks or pieces. It really is to your preference. If you like shredded chicken mole, that works as well. I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching.